What's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. Atlas is the newest champion in Paladins, capable of manipulating time itself to thwart his enemies and keep himself alive. With an incredibly unique, slow-firing weapon, lengthy cooldowns, and the second lowest health pool of any tank, Atlas is a challenging, skillful, and fun new champion to play. In this video, I'll be breaking down exactly how he works and giving tips and tricks on how to play him, as well as a good loadout to use with him. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Building a loadout for Atlas can be tricky, as he only has one cooldown reduction card and a lot of his cards seem somewhat useless. Since Atlas has very little health for a tank and only one shield with a lengthy cooldown, it's important to build a loadout around trying to provide Atlas with a good amount of sustain in it while leaving a bit of room to buff his damage. Old Wounds is, in my opinion, mandatory to have in an Atlas loadout, since without it, Atlas barely has more health than Barrack, and he doesn't have a powerful shield from Bowling Ball to fall back on. Lost Legacy and Phantom Pain are also very strong sustain cards to have in his loadout. Because his weapon can snipe people for 900 health, it's a great idea to use Lifesteal in his loadout and to buy it in the item shop. Hell Hunter is a good filler card you don't need to have any higher than tier 1, because if you only shoot fully charged shots, then you'll pretty much never have to worry about reloading or gaining any additional ammo. The last card I would recommend in a loadout is Paradox, which is the only cooldown reduction card in Atlas's arsenal. Second Chance is a very powerful ability, able to restore Atlas back to full health and dodge any damage dealing ability from a King Bomb to a Kraken. It also lets him quickly disengage from a fight if he overextends too far, making this one of the strongest movement abilities when used correctly. Because of this, you want to have it up as much as possible. As far as talents go, Atlas's strongest talent is Deja Vu. Setback can be a very difficult ability to hit on small, skinny targets, so giving the projectile an area of effect is extremely useful. Being able to send multiple enemies back in time at once is also extremely strong, and if multiple enemies are grouped up, it can completely ruin their coordination or save an intense point fight. Temporal Divide could also be strong if it didn't increase the cooldown of the shield by 7 seconds. It could still be strong on large open maps like Frog Isle, but it's still not as strong as Deja Vu. Unstable Fissure isn't very strong because the bomb he leaves behind after using Second Chance detonates after a whole 3 seconds. This gives an enemy a huge window of opportunity to avoid the blast, and in my opinion the talent just doesn't bring as much to the table as Deja Vu. Atlas takes a lot of skill, practice, and finesse to get the most out of him. First of all, Atlas should be treated as a secondary tank due to his low HP and lack of powerful defensive capabilities like a gigantic, long-lasting shield. Atlas's weapon deals a lot of damage when used correctly, so in my opinion he should be treated similarly to how you would treat Ruckus, except stronger. Atlas also has no forward movement ability, so he's best suited in the backline helping the damage champions instead of pushing the enemies back off the objective like Fernando or Makoa would. Because Atlas's weapon can snipe enemies for a ton of damage with pinpoint accuracy, he is the only frontline who is strong at long range and should be treated as such, fighting from a distance and using his time travel abilities to keep the enemies away from himself and the objective. Despite Atlas being incredibly strong at long range, he does get the highest damage per second from shooting enemies up close, since he doesn't need to spend the extra time charging up a long range blast. While Atlas can unload his entire clip into an enemy tank faster up close than at range, I would not recommend trying to get in a close quarters fight with another tank, since every other tank other than Barrack has more health than him, and tanks such as Makoa, Fernando, and Terminus are much stronger than Atlas at close range. Atlas can absolutely dominate tanks at long range, just like snipers, since his weapon deals upwards of 800 damage at long range, while champions like Ruckus and Makoa hardly deal any damage. Most tanks also have multiple powerful crowd control abilities compared to Atlas's one main ability which sends them back in time. This is another reason why Atlas needs to duel tanks at a distance, since the enemy tanks will be able to stun and knock back Atlas far more often than he can blast them into the past, and in conjunction with his low HP, this can absolutely devastate any Atlas player. Atlas's ultimate is also quite weak and hard to use properly compared to the rest of his kit. Exile banishes his enemies to a state of limbo for 4 seconds, where nobody can interact with them and they cannot do anything. This ultimate is extremely easy to use improperly, since you can easily save enemies from dying or allow a staggered enemy team to regroup and push back your team. To prevent this, Atlas's ultimate should primarily be used on targets that are at full HP and not in danger of taking heavy fire from one of your teammates' ultimates. It should be used to stagger 1 or 2 enemies when their entire team is present, allowing your team to focus on just a few enemies at a time instead of all 5 at once. It's also important to note that you can banish an enemy a second time after they're released from their first banishment, allowing you to stagger an enemy team even further by potentially keeping someone important like their tank or healer out of the game for 8 seconds. The last way Atlas's ultimate should be used is to save himself or others from 1 or 2 dangerous enemies. His ultimate can be used to save his teammates by banishing a lethal flanker or damage champion that is about to kill them, but it's important to note that while using his ultimate, Atlas is slowed by 40%, so it will be more difficult to use it to save yourself from an enemy. As far as items go, Life Rip, Resilience, and Chronos are all good choices for Atlas, since Atlas has very little health and is extremely prone to dying if he gets hit by a crowd control effect. Chronos also helps him greatly reduce his lengthy cooldowns, which are one of his greatest weak points. Atlas's offensive items should be focused more on tearing down enemy deployables and shields than negating healing. Bulldozer and Wrecker are the strongest choices for Atlas, since his weapon does not fire quickly enough for him to reliably reapply Cauterize. Atlas's reload speed is not too much of an issue, so you don't need to buy Deft Hands to help with that. So anyways, that's the end of this video. Did this video help you get better at Atlas, the newest champion in Paladins? Let me know in the comments section down below, or by joining my Discord server to pick up tips, leave suggestions, and become a part of our active community. Also, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this from me. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.